because I could use some brainstorming actually, because I'm having a few hurdles
Rather
here and
block?
there. Well, not a block. Like the writing has been going pretty easy because I've been just um, I've been taking it pretty easy because I've just been not copy pasting, but just copying word by word rulebook of the tri-stat system that I'm using, just to get my juices going. And I've been changing like things where I feel like it should be different for the game. Oh yeah, I forgot how to do things. All right, one sec. Display capture. All right. Hopefully nobody sees my you know browser history and that kind of stuff.
Oh, dirty.
No, I don't have anything crazy on. Like just
Yeah, I just got a few like auctions for African children or whatever.
yeah, exactly, kind of like that. Where do I have it?
Yeah,
Say hi, Megami Tensei.
I mean, at some point, a friend of mine actually saw like I had this in my favorites. I kind of like saved it as a bookmark. There was like this video of a bunch of Asian chicks. I think they're Japanese. They
Mm-hmm.
were like putting eels in their pussy, and
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
what the actual fuck was that? Like, I don't
Well, like
know.
in ancient Greece, they used snakes as dildos, so like it could be worse.
You serious? Did
Well, yeah,
nobody get bitten?
and the thing is, they put them head first so that they couldn't actually bite them, so they couldn't open their mouths or anything.
Oh, how does that even fucking work?
Well, it works because they can't open their mouth. But like
Yeah,
the thing, like the
yeah.
sexual pleasure, it comes from them trying to free themselves. You know, so they just wiggle around, and
Okay, I
that's how
feel
it
bad for
works.
those snakes now. Get
I
over
know, I know.
yourself,
I
you
feel,
poor snakes.
yeah, that's kind of sad. It's
They didn't
definitely true.
deserve that. They
Hmm.
deserve better than that.
Hmm. All right. So there you have it. This is. I'm not sure if you're watching right now, but I can send you the stuff if you don't want to watch. Doesn't really matter.
Oh yeah, let me just open a tab for that. My phone's charging, so I don't have it on my desk like I usually do during these streams. But
Oh, okay.
okay.
And
Yeah,
otherwise, I can send it to you on Discord. Like it's no big deal. Like I've made a character sheet that I'm pretty proud of.
okay. That's pretty advanced, I gotta say.
I mean, it's nothing special. I just, again, like I just copied the Tristat 3D, no, the Tristat DX character sheet and changed stuff around. So basically, what you've got here, I can show you the Tristat one for reference. Let's see, where do I have it here? Tristat DX. So one of the big differences is like instead of HP and EP, which is like, well, HP is HP and EP is energy points. So that's basically what you use for superpowers and that kind of stuff.
Okay, body, mind, and soul, pretty typical stuff. HPP shock.
Shock is something I still haven't really understood, but I don't think we need it. And I think in the game itself is it's uh how do you say it?
Paralysis done.
I think something like that, but uh I don't think it's how do you say? God damn it! Why doesn't the word come up? God fucking damn it! All right, one sec. Translate. I'll translate it from Greek or something.
Who knows? I might actually know the fucking word in Greek.
Yeah, who knows? Well, I don't think so actually. In Greek, it's proeretiko.
Okay, I think that sounds
Optional. It's an optional rule. That's the word I was looking for.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
So you don't need that. So I'm not going to use it.
Uh-huh.
And then you have ACV and DCV. Those are attack. What was it? Attack. Anyway, your attack value and defense value. The
Yeah,
C, I don't remember what it was for, but that's
oh,
that's
like
what you.
those dice rolls? Is that what you're telling me about? Like the bigger dice with every level?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So the damage percentage. Basically, the game has a very simple system for damage. But and like so, the percentage of damage. Obviously, the amount of damage you do depends on the weapon and the power level.
Oh, by the way, for like the elemental attacks, did you like set up a different,
Well,
you know,
I'm
like for
working
the
on that.
elemental
I
weaknesses
haven't.
and vulnerabilities?
Well, exactly. So these I can just shoehorn in, I think. And like, okay, so I can show you what I did. Mine is a bit simpler, but it's the same thing. So as you can see, I have body, mind, soul, and then I changed EP to MP, HP, MP. And then you have magnetite, and then you have the weakness, resistance, and null. Those are also going to play a role, but as a like your characters won't have any of that. For at least when they begin, they don't have weaknesses or resistances, right? You don't have a or nulls especially. So like those will probably come into play either with items that give you weakness or well that give you resistance or something, or with certain abilities maybe. But I'm not sure. Like I think. I think the guy who's gonna have the biggest problem in that regard is gonna be Demi Fiend or something. Like if he has a Magatama that gives him fire attacks or something, and he'll have a weakness for ice, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
But most players, I don't think will have an issue with this. But they're just there because they're there.
I mean, you could actually make some items that grant partial or full elemental resistances. Like,
Well, exactly. So that's probably the most important, and maybe some items also give you a weakness, like as a trade-off. But that would be stupid. Like, why would you equip an item that also gives you a weakness, right? So, I'm still.
For some situations, for some bosses, I guess they might actually work.
Mm-hmm. And then you have character points, skill points, and mecha.
Yeah.
And then you have advancement points, levels, and experience points. So normally in DX you only have advancement points. You don't get levels or XP. So like
the DX2 thing is kind of like a modified version of that to allow these gains.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the idea. I like the. I do like the DX2. Like I thought that up and I was like, that's actually pretty clever. I think, based on the mobile game DX2, But at the same time, it makes sense because you roll 2 dice. So actually, it would be 2DX, but I made DX2 because it's like whatever. So like my thought was like you can make it pretty easily. Just have an EXP count. And each time you level up, you get a bunch of AP that you can spend on attributes and stats. And probably skill points as well, even though I haven't decided about that yet. Because skills are separate. Like when you create your character, you do that with character points for your stats and attributes. And skill points for your skills. So those are separate. But then when you get advancement points, I'm not sure if you can also change your skills with that. I haven't looked that up yet.
Do you know what I just thought of?
Well,
do you have Titan Quest?
No, I don't think so. Let me check. It's on Steam.
The best fucking game of my childhood. I gotta say that.
Is it on Steam or?
Yeah, it's great. Just look for the anniversary edition. Because it actually has the co-op.
THQ Nordic. I think I've. Oh yeah. No, I am aware of it. Like I've read reviews of it when I was a kid.
Dude, like it used to be something,
Yeah.
and I fucking love this game. Like, uh, initially I played like the standard basic version of it,
Hmm.
and then they actually released like the first expansion, which I think was called like Immortal Throne, and it was just great. And I think they released a new one like recently. I'm not
Yeah.
sure about it.
Well,
Gotta say.
oh, I don't know about a new one. Can check that out.
Yeah, I
Titan
think it's kind
Quest
of like this
Ragnarok.
Norse gods kind of thing.
Ah. Well, it's not called Titan Quest 2, probably. Because I can't find that anyway. But,
What?
well, it's not a. It doesn't. If it exists, it doesn't have the same title, at least.
No, no, no. Like it's a new expansion of a new game. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's kind of like yeah, this Ragnarok one.
Yeah. I think there's also new Kingdoms of Amalur, come to think of it.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think like
Or
the
it's in the making, but I'm pretty sure. Kingdoms
I actually played
of
this on the Xbox 360
Amalur.
back in the day, and I gotta say it was pretty fun. It's like really awesome.
Titan Quest or Kingdoms of Amalur?
Kingdoms of Amalur. I don't think they actually released Titan Quest on PS4 on
Oh, no, no,
PlayStation.
no, okay. No, Kingdoms of Amalur is pretty good, yeah, but I never played it through. I never went that far.
Yeah, I mean it was getting kind of grindy, although I feel like the combat was just so well done.
Hmm.
It's like got these it's dynamic. It's got huge weapons, huge AOE skills, and I don't know. It's just very convenient, at least for the controller. It was perfectly adapted. You know, unlike most games which actually play better on like keyboard and whatever, this one just managed to. You know, it was somewhat similar to like Dragon Age. I think that's where it drew its inspiration from, but actually did a great job
Uh,
with it.
yeah, okay, yeah. I don't know. I never was a big fan of Dragon Age, to be honest. Like, I played Origins. Was that it?
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah. It was okay. I don't know. Never played it
Yeah,
again. And I didn't like the. I don't know. It was one of those first games where you had these homosex relationships and that kind of stuff, and it was all really gay. And I was like,
I
come on. I mean,
I didn't really give a shit about it. Didn't mind it.
no, it was subtle enough, and like Skyrim did the same thing, but like it's just so like if you're gonna, I don't know. It's just so stupid. Like I really don't feel for that kind of thing. So anyway, so right now I'm at the section about attributes. Let's see. Wait. Character creation. Attributes. And this is probably gonna be about the hardest part of the game
Okay.
rules.
What was it? Vehicle things you there?
Where vehicles?
Yeah. What exactly you're trying to implement with that?
I'm not trying to implement vehicles. Or at least I might add it, but I don't think it's under attributes anyway. I don't know where you saw that. Oh yeah, here they do exist. But those aren't attributes anyway. I think those are more like so. There's probably going to be a skill for driving, and then you can have vehicles. I actually don't think that's a bad idea. I think like in a post-apocalyptic world like that, the vehicles are going to be a pretty neat addition. And like in tabletops, that's going to be a lot easier than in the video games.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, you could turn it into kind of like a Mad Max thingy.
Yeah, kinda, but okay, maybe a bit tongue in cheek or something, but okay, that's not necessarily what I'm aiming for. But the thing is, like, all right, like in this world, you have like a whole planet to work with. You have all kinds of cultures, so you can think of a bunch of scenarios. Like there was even this one example I thought of because I did add some examples of archetypes in the game. So there's not going to be classes, but you can pick a template to work with. I'm gonna work those out later on when I've defined all my skills and attributes that I'm gonna include in the game. So like one of my examples that I that I liked was like, okay, so there's nothing stopping players, or also especially depending on the story that's going to be played, from picking the same attribute or the same archetype, right? And so there was this one example, like all players, like you could have a story about a mission in the Amazon or something, and all players play like some highly trained commandos. So they're basically like the Marines in Strange Journey, but like they all have their own specializations. So one is artillery, the other is reconnaissance, the other is medic, that kind of stuff. So you can still like change the attributes and the skills to fit your role in the party. So you can change that around. So classes are a lot more. They're more like a generic outline for your character, and obviously that's a big part of Tristat. You have you can add like affiliations, occupation, and that kind of stuff. I added archetype instead of that. And normally, like during character creation, the game tells you to think of an outline for your character and that kind of stuff. So that's a big part of how you make your characters in this game. So now we have a bunch of attributes, and my idea was like, okay, basically the spells and the skills you have in Shin Megami Tensei are going to be attributes. So, for example, you have and attributes have two kinds of progressions. You have the general. You have the how do you say? You have the normal progression for attributes, just the levels, right? So and you have a cost per level, and then you have PMVs, and you can take it both ways actually, but they're both cost advancement points. Right, so my idea was like, and basically like most of the moves that are in a category like Agi or Bufu or Dia or Zan or Zio, those have a progression. So you go from Agi to Agilao to Agidine to Maragi.
And the Maragi and the whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But Maragi is different because it covers like all enemies. Right, so
I guess you could like implement as an AoE, I guess.
Well, no, I'm gonna keep those things simple. Like the fights are gonna be straight SMT, right? You have a bunch of enemies, you target them all, and then you roll attacks for each one of them. So some can still miss, but easy as that. I don't think I want to make it like a tactical RPG necessarily. It's not going to be that crunchy. I do want to keep it simple in that regard. And like, it also kind of makes sense because like demons are not exactly, not exactly here or there, right? So like you can perceive them in part by means of your comp and by means of this and that. So it's not like they're more like all right, they appear in front of you, kind of like that. Even though it's not going to be like random encounters as much as in the video games, but it's going to be more like you can still perceive them and stuff and moving around and doing stuff. But I think it's fine to leave the combat just as simple as possible, to be honest. But the thing about the magic is like, okay, because I was having a discussion with Yorgos about what we were gonna do about the magic, right? So are you going to be able to cast spells right from the start, or do you need something else? Or like, are you going to have a comp when you start out the game because it's a piece of equipment? Or do you have to find it, right? And if you have to find it, what can you do as a character before getting access to that technology, right? So there's got to be a way for you to defend yourself. So obviously you're gonna have some weapons, maybe a gun or a sword, something like that. Um, and there are obviously other attributes that can help, right? You have, I don't know, let's see, you have armor. Armor is kind of weird because that's not, you also have equipment that you can wear, while the armor that you have here is more like for superheroes, like Colossus or something, like something that's part of your body or something. So more like block power, combat technique, combination attack. Computer scanning is obviously going to be a thing. Even though computer scanning, again, I think that's more of a superpower. So I need to filter through all these. Creation, damage absorption, damage conversion, defense combat mastery. So I'm gonna have to check these out. I think I'm just gonna make a list of what attributes I can actually use to start
Yeah, I mean,
with.
looks pretty difficult to kind of set it all up.
Hmm. But like I was thinking, for example, right? You can pick spells, which are obviously gonna be new attributes in this list. They're not in the list. There's no spells in the list. You have illusion and creation, maybe some other things, but they're not quite what I'm looking for. Like in SMT, spells and skills are way more specialized and more combat oriented. So like I've been thinking, like you can pick a category for spells, um, and pick a spell, for example, when you start out the game. But the cost is going to be higher than if you do it after you get a comp, right? So it may be doubles or triples or quadruples. So you have to really think about whether that's what you want. Um, or maybe you can pick an attribute that allows you to pick them easier. Like, for example, a Magatama might be an option. Or you might just... I mean, I should include, because I haven't done that yet, because I haven't found good archetype for that yet. Like, there should be some kind of archetype that can actually use spells. Like a healer or a shaman or something like that. But I haven't decided about that yet.
Well, you did mention that maybe in some scenarios, some situations, you could sort of kind of like make this team of characters with different archetypes, I suppose.
Hmm?
The thematic.
Well, yeah. So you probably gotta do that anyway.
Yeah, of course.
But like a spellcaster is gonna be harder, especially since I haven't decided yet how the magic is gonna work exactly. Like obviously you're gonna spend MP to use it, and it's gonna have to be part of the attribute system. There's nothing else in the game that could support magic or skills like in SMT skills to keep it more generic. But at the same time, like in the games, it's not quite obvious how it works. Like if you actually need a comp to use it, or a Demonica suit or a Magatama. Well, with the Magatamas, it is right. So it's basically it's a demonic ability, and demonics have partially digitized, how do you say, substance. So you're gonna need access to some kind of technology to, how do you say, to hack into that, if you will. So basically that's what happens with the magic in SMT, right? You hack the demons with a certain kind of damage that they're weak to. You could interpret it like that. Especially if it's Digital Devil, Digital Devil Saga, Digital Devil Chronicles.
Mm-hmm.
Um, But then, like, you'd still like chances are, depending on the story, obviously, some parties might still need a spellcaster while they're looking for their comps, or it could be like an initiation ceremony, right? They're affiliated to some faction, and they give them a mission so they can earn their comps, or they could be anything. But like, I do think Magic should also have like a real life counterpart in the world. And the reason why is like I've already sketched a basic premise for the setting. I don't know if I told you about that, by the way, because I think that's pretty interesting. I'm pretty proud of my ideas in that regard.
I was actually pretty curious what factions you were actually gonna include with the.
I haven't decided yet, and they're gonna be all over the place. Like, you're gonna have Templars, you're gonna have Illuminati, you're gonna have I don't know, like UFO hunters. So you're gonna have big and small factions. You're gonna have corporations that vie for control over the Earth or whatever, or resources.
Please don't make the main characters socialists or whatever, please.
No, I mean, if the DM wants to use that, he can, but it's not. There's no main characters. I'm not gonna think of main characters to be anything. But there's going to be military, paramilitary, mercenary organizations. There's going to be religious organizations. I think I'm just going to think of a few as examples, and the DM can think of anything he wants as well.
Yeah.
And obviously, every faction is going to have its own alignment and ideology. So even different factions from the same alignment may still differ from each other in terms of the details, or in terms of how they approach their ideology, obviously. So, but I haven't decided yet. But the only thing I know is that I do want to include like real life conspiracy theories and all that kind of stuff. So basically everything is real. Like Templars exist, Freemasons and stuff are doing their shit. Well, maybe not Freemasons. Like I'd probably just stick with Illuminati in that regard, and that kind of thing. And obviously, I'm gonna include the Ring of Gaia and the Messiah faction.
The Ring of Gaia.
Yeah, that's the Chaos faction in Nocturne, I think.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, would he still kind of exist in this post-apocalyptic world?
Well, obviously. I mean, they did exist in Nocturne. They did change their name, and it's not even the only. Like, I think you have them in SMT2 also, or maybe SMT1 even. You have both the Ring of Gaia and the Messiah faction. I think those are pretty much mainstays in the SMT series.
I haven't really heard about it in like the latest games.
Well, maybe not the latest ones. I mean, they changed those. I mean, I even feel like the 3DS games basically started a new saga. And like, you had the first two, like 1 and 2 are one continue. Basically, that's how I view it, kinda. There are like one continuity. The PlayStation 2 era is a semi-continuity, because at least Nocturne and Digital Devil Saga are connected. But at the same time, like in one version of Nocturne, Raido Kuzunoha also shows up, so there's kind of a continuity there.
Oh, you mean like the Maniac version?
Well, the Maniacs version is with Dante, I think. That's the one we got in the West.
No. Classic Nocturne is Dante, and the Maniacs version is with.
No, because that was also like even the whole Labyrinth of Amala and the Candelabra and stuff. That's all bonus content, and they released that in the West, and I think that's the Maniacs version. And then they released another Maniacs version, and that's with Raido Kuzunoha.
The Star of Dash.
The original game didn't even have the Labyrinth of Amala.
Okay, here plays Dante in Nocturne Maniacs Chronicle.
Yeah.
So I guess this is it.
Yeah, okay, whatever. But either way, like there's a continuity there, and then the 3DS games start up a new continuity. So basically, Strange Journey is the new SMT1, SMT4 is the new SMT2, and it does make sense because SMT4 is kind of like SMT2, like with the cathedral, or like the new Tokyo on top of Tokyo, that kind of thing. And then SMT4 Apocalypse is just forget about it. So,
Why?
hmm?
Oh, it wasn't like that bad, I guess.
No, it's not. It's not bad, but it's like, I mean, but it's the same. It's the same setting. But either way, like so basically, like the Ring of Gaia and those factions exist and don't exist, or exist in different manifestations. So in my game, they're just gonna exist alongside other factions because this time it's international, it's global. So there's gonna be a whole bunch of factions with all different philosophies because they all come from different cultures as well. But so like my idea was, you have World War III, the world gets destroyed, and
Have you thought about like the scenario in which?
well, the background history of the setting, basically, or not the history, more like the setting, like the general outline, because so you have World War III and nukes start flying, and CERN devises a plan to save humanity under the leadership of Stephen, obviously, and they do.
Cameo.
Yeah, exactly. And they do a thingy majig with their super collider, the Hadron super collider, and they just teleport all of humanity, everyone who has access to a device connected to the internet. They just teleport them to a pocket dimension until the destruction is past, and just bring them back. But in doing so, they open rifts to alternate realities. Demons break through. Obviously, the super collider is destroyed in the process. But also, humans become tainted, so they have a demonic element within them. So, and then you get two categories of humans, because like the vast majority of people who got transported, they become polluted, and they become basically like mannequins. So they have a tendency to depression and apathy, but they're basically the grunt of human society at this point. So they use them to rebuild society, and a minority of people gain like a special aptitude towards demonic energies. They can sense demons. They can absorb magnetite.
Suits work.
Huh?
So kind of like in the same way that the Monica suits work. You mean?
No. Well, no. Well, I mean, kinda, but on a very, very subtle level.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that these people retain their consciousness to some degree. I mean, not that the mannequins don't have consciousness, but you could say they lost their soul, maybe. But
Yeah,
they're still human, basically. They're still alive and functional. They can talk. They can communicate. But they're basically cannon fodder. They're basically slaves. Like they don't have self-awareness in a way. They're like the NPCs, the NPC meme, you know. So they're literally NPCs. So the DM can just. I think it's kind of a nice breaking the fourth wall kind of thing, you know. The DM can just make NPCs who are literally fucking NPCs, you know. That was kind of the idea behind that. And the rest are just like the select few have just a higher affinity for demonic energies. So, and with like the most extreme cases, like mutating and becoming like demi fiends or avatar tuners and that kind of thing. So you got those as well. But basically, those like they are the at this point the elite of post-apocalyptic society, right? So they form organizations and they go out demon hunting and doing this and that and trying to fix the world again, basically. So the players are from that category, basically. Whatever archetype they play, they're just conscious humans. But that also explains why they can have magnetite, for example. So magnetite is the thing that they, can carry or can absorb by nature, and that's basically their biggest asset.
Okay. Nice.
But they still, like, the majority of them still need comps or demonica suits or something to be able to interface with demons, to communicate with them, to negotiate with them, or to take them with them, basically. So you can capture them like Pokemon. You how do you say? You save them in digital form and you summon them by pressing a button.
Yeah, sounds pretty good. Although, you know what I'm curious is this. You were talking about like this whole war situation, this World War III situation that caused the whole apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
Have you actually thought about like tying it in with the whole idea of humanity becoming sort of destroying itself and maybe making like another dimension appear, like an SMT Strange Journey? You know, like
Yeah, yes and no. So basically, that's what happens. So basically, and I've even thought about like, but I just I even like when I first sketched it, it was kind of like that. Even though it's not like the Schwarzwald, but more on a global scale. But
yeah,
I just removed a few steps. So basically, the digital or the virtual world just bleeds through the real world. And I even described that in my introduction. Like you're gonna have places that just kind of fuse with parallel dimensions and create mazes and dungeons and labyrinths and that kind of stuff. So basically, which also means that societies get further isolated from each other because it's harder to go out without getting lost, right? If you leave your city, you just might end up in some random dungeon somewhere and never be able to find your way out. So all these kinds of things so the world is just kind of fucked up, So it is post-apocalyptic. It is kind of like the Vortex world in Nocturne, but humans keep existing. And it's also kind of like the Schwarzwald in the sense that parallel dimensions or pocket dimensions kind of play a role in there, but yeah, kind of like that. Oh, but actually, it's more like Schwarzwald in the sense that the way humanity got saved in that process is similar to what happened in Schwarzwald or in Strange Journey, basically. And basically, they brought it with them, so they got transported to a parallel dimension, and when they got back, they were changed. And demons came with them, and a whole bunch of other crap that they didn't. And not to make matters worse, because one of the things about the tabletop that I've been thinking about is you gotta have enemies that aren't demons necessarily. So, for example, the thing is that people who didn't have access to the internet the moment the convergence happened, which is what I call that event, obviously. Those just get possessed by fucking demons. They just get mutated, irradiated, and become mostly slimes. But you may have like more extreme examples, and those are physical demons. You can't you can't recruit them or anything because you can't save them anywhere. You can't hack them basically. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I guess. Although you kind of need to give a little bit more background stuff and maybe kind of try to write it in the story to make more sense. You know what I mean? Like tie it in better. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, for the most part, those are just like they're worse off than mannequins, so they're not in any way important characters.
Yeah, I guess.
But you're also gonna have like run-ins with corporations or with factions with different agendas and stuff. You're gonna have rival parties, so you will be able to fight other demon hunters with their own demon parties and stuff. So you can have that kind of thing going on. You don't have that in games in the games. So there's a whole bunch of factors that open up with this kind of setting, I think. And you're also gonna have normal humans that are just fucking squishy, but they're like super rare.
Yeah, I suppose. Oh gosh, yeah, that's already.
It's already 1 o'clock.
Yeah, I think I gotta go to sleep. Like,
All right.
I don't know if you heard, but tomorrow's like the 100th anniversary of our country.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
100th? Is it that young?
yeah, yeah. Surprisingly
Or
enough,
just as a nation, you mean, or as a nation
it's like
state?
in its current state. You know, like a while before, it kind of like it used to be like these three different principates, and during these times they actually united
Ah.
them multiple times.
Hmm.
Although the people who united them got assassinated by traitors,
Ah.
and
Okay.
they kind of got split up again and again. And you know, during the Habsburg period, they actually took Transylvania away from us, and then we actually had to get it back. And yeah,
Ah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
right at the end of World War I, we kind of collected the spoils, and after the Trianon Pact, we actually got our stuff back finally.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of sad that we've been having all of these political situations in my country. Like, you'd think like the 100th anniversary would be like the point where we're all happy to celebrate
Hmm.
and to see how far we've come. But I don't know, it just feels like we're drifting away from these ideals.
Yeah.
Like we've lost so much territory, like in the last century. Uh, we had to give it as reparations to Bulgaria, to Ukraine, to Serbia, to all these places.
Hmm.
So they kind of started eating into us.
Yeah.
It is what it is, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, although you know it's just gonna be a whole bunch of street parties, parades, and whatever.
Well, I
So
mean,
I'm
it's got to
actually,
be fun
yeah, I guess.
or
Although
some
you know
kind of fun. Yeah.
I'm a bit more excited about the date than.
Yeah. Obviously. Yeah. Yeah. But it's a good like if there's a bunch of stuff happening and you have a bunch of stuff to
Yeah,
do like on your
exactly.
date, that's
Yeah, I know.
pretty nice coincidence.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty thankful for that.
Hmm. Yeah, I can
All
imagine.
right,
Have some cotton candy and some I don't know,
popcorn, I guess.
popcorn, some corn dogs.
Yeah, that sort of stuff. Although you know it's actually kind of cold over here.
Hmm.
It's like minus 10 degrees, minus 15
Can
at this
imagine.
point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's pretty snowy all the way outside. So yeah, I think we might actually need to like cut the walks a little bit shorter. But you know, I guess we'll just have some stuff to do.
Yeah. Exactly. All right.
I mean, last year, you know, we like during like the parade in my city, it just started snowing and actually had to stop it because it was just so fucking cold and everybody was like soaked.
Hmm.
Yeah, I hope it's gonna be alright. I mean, I don't see any precipitations, any unexpected events.
Yeah.
Yeah, alright.
Should be nice. All right, man. Well, I wish you a lot of fun tomorrow. And good luck
Yeah.
with your date and stuff.
Uh-huh. Thank you
And
very much.
yeah.
I guess we'll see each other maybe tomorrow, day after.
Sure. All right, man.
Alright, man.
Have a nice weekend and good night.
Bye, you too. Bye.
See you around. Bye bye. Alright. Well, I don't know if you're still up for it. I might continue the stream a little bit longer, even though I think I've covered basically everything. I just noticed there's 2 lists here, so it's 2 columns. So I'm gonna have to filter through that. There are a few things that are interesting. Like you've got item of power, for example. I think that would be interesting. I think that would be a good category for the comp. Let's see, item of power. Let's see what it says. Character points for building each. Fewer character points awarded. Under certain conditions, limited functioning items attributes are only partially conferred. This attribute describes an exotic, usually portable item that directly enhances the character in some way, perhaps by conferring attributes, or one that serves as a useful tool or weapon. Item of power represents advanced technology or a relic with paranormal or magical powers. More ordinary but useful items such as a car or a gun are covered by the gadgets attribute. Well, makes sense. Special weapons that others can use are often designed with item of power. Okay, with points allocated to the special attack attribute. This is actually interesting. Each item is built using up to 5 character points per level of the item of power attribute, which can be used to assign attributes. Assigning defects to the item earns bonus points, which are used to acquire additional attributes for the item. Alright, look, this might be an interesting thing. For example, right, you could have as a budding demon hunter, you could have like a flaming sword, right? That does fire damage to demons, but that also gives you a weakness in ice, right? So then you gain some extra points to do some extra damage with the element of choice. But I do think that's different from the comp itself. Although you could, I think you could think of ways like this, using like that kind of an item or attribute to add spells as well. Let's see what else there. Like the game even has got a nullify attribute, which is interesting. Like you could start out the game with a null ability, which means that you right off the bat you nullify I don't know, one of the elements in the game. Swarm, telekinesis, telepathy, teleport, tough, transfer. Like I'm looking for maybe some kind of magic here. Oh no, mimic powers. Fuck. It's not really there. Like I think you have energy bonus, environmental influence, extra defenses. Like under gadgets might also be interesting, but I think that's more that's more like generic items. That's not the comp. I think I want to make a separate attribute for comp, but at the same time it could also be I don't know. It could also be a piece of equipment, because you also got those. Oh, I went too far. But the other thing, like, I've been thinking, like, you know, it could be like the Pip-Boy in Fallout that you just have by default. Like, you just start out the game with a comp and you can choose your attributes based on that. I don't know, I just don't know. It's kind of a tough decision. Gadget's attribute represents a character's access to useful equipment. Characters do not need to spend character points for items that are legal, inexpensive, and mundane in campaign settings, such as clothing, a backpack, or a knife. Okay, unless taken quantity, GM's option. For example, a complete toolbox could be a single minor gadget. A single wrench is mundane. GMs may ask players to allot points for this attribute, however, if their characters will begin the game with numerous pieces of equipment to which the average person might not have easy access, such as weapons, body armor, or specialized professional equipment. But like again, so this is very generic. So gadgets could be guns or that kind of stuff. Gadgets does not include magic items, secret prototypes, or equipment that is significantly more technologically advanced than is the standard in the setting. Instead, see item of power attribute. Alright. It can include common civilian vehicles, appropriate for the setting, for example, car, truck, light airplane, or motorbike in the present day. Less common or more expensive vehicles should count as several items of gear. The GM... Okay. The GM always has the final say on whether or not an item is available to the characters. Some examples of gadgets can be found in Chapter 9. Equipment. Page 73. The GM can create the statistics of the items. Although characters may have items that are owned by organizations to which they belong, they still must acquire these items as gadgets if they make regular use of them. Though conditional ownership defect may apply. Ah, okay, interesting. Thus, police officer would use gadgets for a pistol, police car, or handcuffs, although these items are property of police department. This rule is intended mainly for play balance, and naturally the GM has final say on this issue. Each level in this attribute permits the character to take one major and 4 minor gadgets. Alternatively, the character can exchange one major gadget with an extra 4 minor gadgets, or vice versa. Use these guidelines below to differentiate between major and minor gadgets. So gadgets is mostly just an arsenal. Well, a special item or an item of power would be more like and then you have gadgeteer as well. But that's more like for creating, working, and making stuff. Alright. There's a lot of stuff to consider here. But the fact that some attributes also have a say over what equipment you have and vice versa, I think is part of the solution here. I still have to think about it. I haven't figured it out. Because I do think comps will basically be part of the equation here. Maybe you can just pick it as an alternative to either a gadget or an item of power. Like an item of power would be more specific, would be more unique, which would be interesting because you could still have like your Final Fantasy fucking sword that just destroys everything, or I don't know, that gives you a special power or something. And maybe it could even be an item that actually gives you a spell or something like that. Alright, it's gonna be a lot of work. I don't know. I do want to do more of these kinds of streams. I'm not sure how interested people are in those, because I bet for any viewers out there, this is probably kind of out of the blue. Like, I'm playing games and suddenly I'm trying to figure out an RPG that I can't sell, I can't license this, I can't publish it. But it's just something I'm working on and I'm kind of excited about. And I do kind of need to think about it, or just kind of figure some things out. So, I don't know. Like, if I'm able to discuss it with someone, that's cool. If any of my viewers has any ideas, feel free to get in touch with me. And chime in, because I'm actually I'm looking for people who want to brainstorm with me and who want to playtest the thing when it's ready. But I think I've had enough streaming for today. I think I went for around 4 hours in total. So either way, guys, hope you enjoyed. Hope you had a nice week. Wish you all a good weekend. I will continue with this thing, and I'll keep you guys posted if you're interested. Or I'll just do a stream once a week or something about it. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. Have a nice weekend.